Good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good. As he stated, I'm James Hill. I'm the Assistant Director with Richland County Animal Care. And I have a brief slide to show you, to give you a little bit of information, a little bit of stats about what we do in our department. First off, we'll go into the animal care staff, which basically tells us who's all in our office, who actually employed with our department. We have the director, which is Sandra Haynes. She's my boss. I'm next in line. We have an animal care supervisor, Mr. Gary Daniels. He's actually the supervisor for the officers, basically the field officers out there. Anything that happens with the officers out in the field, he's the first line of communication. If there's a complaint or anything, he gets it first. If the officers have a question, he's the first person that they go to for that. We have 8 animal care officers when we're fully staffed. Right now, we're not fully staffed, but it's normally 8 officers, and there's 7 areas, and it's broken down here for you to see. I'm sorry, can you see? Okay, exhibit spreadsheet. We have the Chapin to Broad River Road area, the Broad River Road to Monticello Road area. We have the Monticello Road to Wilson Boulevard Road area, Wilson Boulevard to Two Notch Road to Highway 601, then from Highway 601 to Garners Ferry Road, and then Garners Ferry Road to Bluff Road. Out of all those areas, the busiest area where we get the most complaints is going to be the Wilson Boulevard to Two Notch Road area. We get a lot of complaints in that because it covers Blythewood and whatnot, so we get a lot of complaints from that area. Now, the mission of animal care. Basically, this is what I call the 5 pillars of success for our department. First one is to protect the life and property of Richland County citizens. Second, reduce the number of strays in the county. That's probably our most prominent part of our mission that you all see us out there in the field doing, going out, and we get a lot of complaints about stray animals, so we go out there, we try to pick up stray dogs and cats whenever we can. Prevent any outbreak of rabies, and basically that's part of the pet licensing thing that I'll talk about a little bit later. That's part of that process to prevent any outbreak of rabies, to protect the public. We educate the public on the importance of pet licensing and responsible pet ownership. As part of that is just like what we're doing today for the Richland 101. We go to schools as well and do events with the school. Actually, I had to go to Weber Elementary today. And actually, about 2 weeks ago, I went to Gaston Elementary. So we're constantly doing things with the community, like for Career Day, and kind of giving the youngsters something to think about. We reunite lost pets with their owners in an effort to reduce the number of animals that are euthanized. And the pet licensing process, that actually helps with that process as well, helping anytime a pet gets lost, if it's licensed with the counties, it makes it that much easier for us to be able to reunite them with their owners. A little bit of department stats that we have, operational outcomes. Our department works on approximately a $1 million budget. Over a quarter of that budget is used to fund the cost of shelter operations and veterinary services. We have an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Columbia, animal shelter everyone knows on Shop Road. A lot of people don't realize that Richland County, we don't have our own shelter. So anything that we pick up, we take it to Shop Road by contract. So a lot of that money, we have to pay them so much per day for each animal that we pick up and that they're housing. And also, we have to use a veterinary service after hours. Whenever the shelter is closed, if an officer picks up an animal that's injured or sick, then it has to go to a veterinary, overnight at least until the veterinary staff at the shelter is open. We generate an average of approximately $90,000 a year from court fines and pet licensing fees. And pet licensing fees is basically the revenue that we get for citizens that get their animals licensed. It's a reduced fee for spayed or neutered animals, so that's an incentive for that. And the rest of those are court fines. Now, when I say we generate that much in court fines, we don't get all that at one time. If someone goes to court and they get found guilty, they may get charged $500. Of course, they're not going to pay that $500 at one time. So they make payment plans, and then sometimes you have citizens that don't pay at all. You have to get warrants out for them. But on books, generally, that's what we generate. That's what their charge. We use that to say that's what we help generate. We respond to one of the highest number of complaints of any department with an approximate average of 12,500 per year. So with the number of officers that we have, I think that's awesome. We do a good job with that. some of the services that we provide for the Richland County citizens. We patrol for stray and at-large animals, transport sick, injured, stray, and unwanted animals to the shelter. We investigate various types of complaints that include dog and cat bites, barking dog nuisance, vicious animals, at-large animals, and nuisance animals in general. Well, an animal that's off the owner's property. It's not restrained, it's not confined at all. And what I mean by nuisance animals in general, it could be an animal that's just, like say a cat, there's no leash law on cats. However, if you let your cat go on your neighbor's property and dig up the flower bed or jump on their car, then it could be considered a nuisance. We have a particular situation in the county now where there's a guy that he has a Mercedes-Benz. It's about a $70,000 car, and the neighbor's cat, he claims is climbing on it. So that's a situation that we have to deal with. So a lot of people think just because they have cats they can let them roam free. You can to an extent until your neighbors get upset with it, and and it creates a nuisance for them. So keep that in mind. We rescue distressed animals. We don't do a lot of that because we don't get a lot of those type of complaints. I know sometimes whenever we get, every now and again we get complaints for maybe a cat in the tree. Generally we won't climb a tree to get a cat. Now we have had to work with other departments for situations where there may be a cat in a storm drain or something like that, and we'll get with the stormwater department and that kind of help us get those type of situations. But generally what we tell citizens is usually if it got up in the tree, it's going to come back down. If it goes down in a storm drain, normally they can find a way to get out. Sometimes it's different if it's a kitten, because maybe the mom took it down there and they can't get back out. So but generally they normally can get back out from those type of situations. We provide information for communities by way of attending career days for local schools, providing community sweeps upon request, and attending homeowners association meetings and other events such as this Richland 101. We do community sweeps upon request. And basically what that is, if you call the ombudsman office and say, look, in my neighborhood, there's a lot of people that let their dogs roam free. I want you all to come out and, go house by house and, kind of educate people on what the laws are. And we'll come out there and we leave flyers. If they're home, we communicate, with them. If they're not home, but we notice that they have a dog, or a cat, and then we leave literature there for them, letting them know what the laws are for the county. We provide traps to citizens to remove nuisance animals. Now, this is probably our number one complaint that we get, request for traps, actually, what it is. And cat traps are the number one complaints that we have. We can't keep enough cat traps. Generally, what we do, we set traps on Mondays and Wednesdays. We set them on Monday, let them stay until Wednesday, pick those up and relocate them from Wednesday to Friday. You'd be surprised the number of cats that are just roaming free, and it's just they multiply like crazy. It can start off as as a kitten that you want to be a good citizen and be humane, and you feed it, but you don't get it spayed or neutered. So that grows up, and then it goes out and populates, and next thing you know, you have a whole colony in your neighborhood, and you have to try to get rid of them. And keep in mind, if you're taking any type of stray animal, whether it's a dog or a cat, if you're feeding it, you're allowing it to stay on your property, technically and legally you could be responsible for it if we come out and if your neighbors say, yes, this person they've been feeding, has been hanging around their house for a month, 3 weeks, you can be legally the custodian of the animal. So that's in court. Oh yeah, it's in law, but you can be considered an owner or custodian, and you can be charged the same way for both of them. Provide traps to citizens to remove nuisance animals. That's basically what we already discussed. Now, when I say nuisance animals, we don't, like possums, wild, raccoons, things of that nature, we don't set traps for those. Now, if we set a trap for a cat or a dog and a wildlife happens to go in it, then of course we have to remove it. But generally, like with raccoons and possums, there's a certain distance you can't take them from that area. So generally, what we do, we might just drive down the road just a little bit and let it out. Because we won't euthanize a wildlife unless it appears like it's rabid, sick or something like that. Provide representation to complainants in court, when complaints have led to citations being issued. And basically that's, you call about your neighbor, about the dog barking or the dog being loose. We issue a warning. They don't listen. You call us back again, and we end up going to court. And basically, we come to court with you, and basically present the case, and you just pretty much act as a witness to what happened. In order to prosecute the case. So. And provide pet licensing for citizens, and I'll go into that a little bit more in detail next. Pet licensing is required for all dogs and cats that have reached the age of 4 months. It used to be 6 months, but we changed it to 4 months recently because that's the age veterinarians pretty much say that your animal can be vaccinated for rabies. And that's one of the requirements of having the pet license. Getting the pet license. The pet license helps to identify your pet if it ever were to get lost, because it lets an animal care officer know that your pet belongs to someone. So anytime you get your animal license, you get a tag. As long as you keep that tag on your animal, if it gets out, then we can easily locate it through our database. We'll look at it, type in the number, type in the address, and it'll pull up who owns it, and hopefully we can go ahead and locate you. A license ensures your community that your pet is properly vaccinated against rabies. And the reason being is that that's a requirement for a pet license. So if your animal is properly licensed, then automatically we know it's been vaccinated for against rabies. A license also provides a longer holding period if it were to be impounded and taken to the shelter. A positively identified animal, which means if it has a pet license tag on, we hold those automatically for 14 days, regardless. So you have, say you're out of town, and you're out for a week, who knows where you're at. We're holding for 14 days as opposed to just a stray that can be put to sleep after 5 days. So that's very important. That's very important for you.
So we have a kill shelter. This is a kill shelter after so many days.
Yes, sir.
To euthanize.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are they scanned for microchips?
Yes, they are.
Okay. I can't keep a collar on a cat.
Yeah. Every animal that we pick up, each officer has a microchip scanner, and they are scanned. Now, we'll tell you sometimes with those scanners, those microchips can migrate. So sometimes you can scan an animal, probably not so much on a cat because they're so small, but with dogs sometimes we can't find the microchip. And then also keep in mind, if you have a microchip animal and you give it away or someone else gets it, make sure you change the registration. Because a lot of times we'll call for a microchip and it's registered to like 3 or 4 previous owners. So, we have no idea who it actually goes to. So to keep that in mind as well. The cost of a pet license is as follows. It's $21.07 for a fertile pet, which means if it's not spayed or neutered. It's $4.21 for a spayed or neutered pet. And if you have an animal or pet that's used for assisting disabled citizens, it's free. You still have to have a license, but you don't have to pay for it. Those fees go up each year with the Consumer Price Index, the CPI. Requirements for a pet license are as follows. Pretty much I went over it already. The pet must be 4 months old. Owner must provide a current rabies certificate and proof of spay or neuter for a reduced fee. And actually now, it's probably been a little over a year now, you can actually, you can do this online. You just have to come to the office, but now you can do your application online. As long as you submit the documentation, it's smooth and easy. Commercial pet breeder license. This is done to prevent bad backyard breeders. Anyone that is intending to engage in breeding pets as a business, occupation, or profession must obtain a commercial pet breeder license. There's an annual inspection fee of $105.31, and that's done annually. And of course, that $105.31 goes up with the CPI. each year when it goes up, that goes up as well by a percentage. During the inspection, we look at the construction of the pet enclosure to permit comfort throughout the year, the location of the pet enclosure to promote easy sanitation, accumulation of feces and debris, access to fresh water and food, and secure premises that will not allow animals to escape or stray animals to enter. In addition to the commercial pet breeder license, each dog on that property has to also have a regular pet license. So if you are a breeder and say you have 20 dogs on your property that you're using as breeding, each one of those dogs have to be individually registered with a pet license, and you also have to have a commercial pet breeder license as well. keep in mind with this right here, we get a lot of complaints where a lot of citizens call and saying, you know, look, I think my neighbor's breeding animals. When we go out there, and basically what it is, it may be someone that they're not intending to breed for a business. They may have had a litter, you know, for whatever reason, they maybe had a litter or something that year, and they're selling the puppies or even giving them away. That's not the same thing as a commercial pet breeder license. A commercial pet breeder is someone who actually is intending to be in business doing that. And that's what they do. Because currently, right now, I believe there's only, I can count on one hand, maybe 4 commercial pet breeders by our standards anyway, that register with the county. So, all right, thank you.